Hi, I'm Beth Blake Arrington, a part-time library assistant at the Carteret County Public Library here in Beaufort, and I'm here today for book talks. The book I'm focusing on today is The Nine, the true story of a band of women who survived the worst of Nazi Germany. The author is Gwen Strauss. It's St. Martin's Press, and it came out this year, May 4th. As one of the survivors in this book says, so here we are, 6 French, 2 Dutch, 1 Spanish, almost all of us were students or secretaries. So what Strauss does in this book, and I have to tell you, I highly recommend it. She builds a compelling history of the true story of her great aunt, Helen Podlaski. Helen led 9 resistance fighters, all women, as they escaped a German forced labor camp and made a miraculous 10-day journey across the front lines of World War II from Germany back to Paris. If you appreciate the World War II fictional genre, encourage you to find this book and take a journey on true happenings that happened during the war. It's very insightful. Strauss has a very compelling description of how she got involved in this book, and I would like to read that to you. For the most part, the 9, like so many women in the resistance, kept quiet about their actions during the war. They weren't recognized as heroes. They didn't tell their stories, but one day over lunch, my aunt told me her story. I asked to interview her officially and to record her, and then I became obsessed with uncovering further details. She didn't even remember the full names of the other women. It was detective work to find out who they were. I researched archives in 4 countries, interviewed relatives and friends of all 9 women, and traveled to Germany multiple times, met with survivor groups, and read firsthand testimony from the female resistant fighters in order to piece together the story. Amazing. So the story weaves together their escape route and breaks it up with vignettes and background on each one. So it's pretty intricate and gotta pay attention to it. All 9 women are under 30 when they joined the resistance. Their jobs were amazing. They smuggled arms, they aided agents who had parachuted in, they carried messages between different groups, and they helped down pilots and crews so they could escape to Spain. They also hid Jewish children. They were arrested by the French police, interrogated, tortured by the Gestapo, we're talking about all 9, and they endured these French prisons and were deported by a railway car to Germany. So the group forms along the way, meeting in prison or in transit or at Ravensbrück, which was the German concentration camp for women from 1939 to 1945 in northern Germany. They're a really tight group by this time, and they're enslaved at a labor camp in Leipzig. Now that's south of Berlin. They were making weapons, the Panzerfaust, which was like a big mortar that they made, and sabotage, may I add. And during the final days as the war progresses, the Allies are approaching and they're forced on the death march. Now let me paint this for you. So they're in central Germany. Where do they go if they want to get rid of these prisoners? They're not going to head toward the Allies, and they're not going to head toward the Russians, which are also Allies, but they're going to head south. So that was a little complicated to understand that. They march in rows of 5, and right at the right moment, the 9 decide to hit a ditch, and they manage to do it. And it's really moving vision of the feet above them, dragging along on the highway while they're hiding in the ditch. It's really amazing. So she narrates this journey, but also their paths to the resistance, and that's pretty tough. I strongly recommend that you pull out your Google map and follow them, because many of these villages were not damaged during the war. So you can actually see today what the vision was of these women as they approached. The story is compelling, it's intricate. I also recommend that you pay attention to the front, to their names, and try to visualize who they are, so you know who she's bringing up. I find the work of the resistance and the spies is coming forward as more archival information is set forward. But also, women were not supposed to come to the forefront during those French resistance time. A lot of these stories were buried. Many of them, survivors didn't even want to talk about them, obviously. But there are really moving moments in this book. The courage in the labor camps, the camaraderie, the Soviet women prisoners, they were the sharpshooters at Stalingrad. Amazing stories. What's particularly important is how they tried to keep their dignity. I wanted to just point out these things and encourage you to pick this book up. It's one of our new ones on the new shelf. And thank you for checking in, and thanks for continuing to support your library. We appreciate it.